What's going on, guys? BladeZilla here, and today we're taking a look at a knife that we will have already done a video on this year. This is the Shirogorov Astrum production M390 blade. This knife here is the actual knife I've already done a video on from my personal collection, and I just wanted to do a quick maybe 10-minute video, nothing too crazy on this knife, talking about how a new thing that I'd like to do on the channel. This will be your 2024 Knife of the Year. So this is something new for me, it's new for the site, and you know, it kind of got me thinking, where I do a lot of, about, what, 2 videos a week, 2 full-length videos a week, so 104 videos a year of different knives typically, and you know, seen it all, seen lots of different versions of Shirogorovs and, well, all kinds of different knives. And so for me, I'd like to start this tradition and kind of pick a knife every single year and just do a quick, you know, knife of the year. We could take things further, break it down into different categories: production knife versus custom knife versus mid-tech, whatever. But I think for 2024 anyway, we're going to take the Shirogorov Astrum in this form, in the production M390, and give it the Knife of the Year from BladeZilla. So, you know, if you haven't seen that video already, I would highly suggest checking that video out. It's, I think, probably around half an hour long. More detail of what we're going to get today on this knife, but great video for half an hour talking about the knife, the design, some comparables, etc., and all that good stuff. But from today's perspective, I kind of wanted to talk to you about why this would be my Knife of the Year. And, you know, I've thought about this now for, geez, I'm trying to think here, probably a week leading up to this video of what knife I would choose and why. And the why is probably more important than the knife itself. So let's break that down for, like I said, this is probably only going to be a 10-minute video today. But the main thing here is that it's the Knife of the Year. So to me, when I think of a Knife of the Year, so it's got to have its main release or releasings in that year. You know, there's some overlap obviously with the Stellar. I have my Stellar right here. If you haven't seen that, that is also a really great knife. But, you know, I would say if I were to rank this, you know, 2023 Knife of the Year, you're probably looking at the Stellar, because the primary versions of that came out in 2023, whereas the Astram is primarily 2024. So that's one of the main reasons. Number 2, to me, the Knife of the Year should be in a production form of some capacity. So, you know, is it available to the masses? You know, we can always pick a full, you know, custom Shirogorov knife and say, oh, that's the Knife of the Year. But, you know, there's only 5 of them or 3 of them. And maybe it's a new design, and maybe the following year they come into production. Who knows? But right now, this is a full production knife, M390, which we should be able to see here. If you watch that video, you'll see where they put M390 on it. And, you know, available in seemingly unlimited quantities. I've got, I don't know, half a dozen of them here beside me, and you know, fully available. You can get your hands on them. They're not hard. They're just a fantastic knife. So availability is key. You know, 2, 3, B, C, whatever. Design elements. So to me, this is a knife you could carry easily in your pocket. It's you know, the perfect blade length for me as well. It's long. That's what she said. But the form factor is very much easy to carry. So even though you're coming in at, what, just sub 4 inches, I think, let me just move this there, sub 4-inch blade, just sub 4, which is a really good number. It's really easy to carry. The handle size is as such that it fits nicely, you know, in your pocket. It's not a thick knife. It's not a take up tons of space in your pocket kind of knife. It's just a really well designed and executed knife. So, you know, one of my go-to favorites is the Neon. And the Neon is a knife that I could carry all day long. And when they first came out with the Astram, people look at the blade length and they assume it's a huge knife. This is a 3.5-inch knife. This is a 4-inch knife, roughly. You know, you'd be hard pressed to tell a difference in size from carrying it in your pocket. They're not all that different. And if we look at them closer, there's a lot of design elements between the two. I believe in my original review, I even said, to me, this knife, the Astram, is a big neon, and I'll die on that hill fighting this, because I feel like it's a big neon. Look at the form factor of the handle, right? Just look at how pokey the blade is. You know, very subtle drop point. So to me, obviously it's not a frame lock. It's more of a, I think they call it a tab lock, liner lock, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's a big neon. So really, really good form factor to this one. Great in your pocket. Obviously the numbers look huge, but at the same time, it fits in your pocket really easily, folds up nicely, fantastic. And then obviously just, finally the design. It's a well executed design. For me, I've always loved plain Jane tie with a stone wash to hide scratches, and lo and behold, look at this knife, plain Jane tie. You got nice, exceptional millwork found throughout the knife. You've got the B on there for BladeZilla, which I joke about, but quietly I kind of like that element. It just looks really good, and I was right when I filmed that. They did change that from the first production. I looked at it, I said, it looks more coarse to me than original. So yes, they did change that ever so slightly. Not sure why, but also not complaining. So the design elements here, it's just great. All the way around. Beautiful clip. Beautiful horizontal milling. All the little details of fitting the hardware into the handle. All the little details of that beautiful lanyard hole. Everything it's just such a well executed knife in the design side of things. You know, the Shirogorov bear on the heel, also something that I really love to see in all my knives. It's the knife of the year for me. So we've had now, I don't know the exact timeline on each, but I've had now the sprint run Astram. I've had, so these are the high end, the sprint runs, the custom division. I've had a video on each of those, so if you want to check them out on the channel, please do. Those will have been right around inside the 12-month range, going back about a year. And then when we get into the first production, Astram in the blue with the Magna Cut, beautiful knife. And then the Astram Touch, which was it Magna Cut or S90V? I can't even remember anymore. But beautiful, beautiful knife with I called it kind of like a winter snowflake. One of my friends actually, and I know he'll be watching this, he took that blue anno off the Astram Touch and made it plain tie, and I just about lost my marbles because it looked so good. And I'm like, oh, I don't think that design looks any better than that, because that was just so well done by him. Beautiful knife. And that knife to me is, if I'm picking a production knife that I'm going to try to lock down and hold for, say, 5 years, I think the Astram Touch would probably be the one that I would want to find and hold on to. Or the first production as well. Also, it's the same knife as this, basically just Magna Cut blade and a little bit anno blue. And then finally, this was the 5th version of the Astram that I saw, was the full production M390, and they just tweaked, and kept changing the recipe ever so slightly with the milling and some of the little details that I don't know if they'll admit they'd changed, but slowly but surely they came out with a knife that, to me, is just an everyday home run of a knife. You can wear it, you can carry it and wear it in a suit jacket. You can carry it as a full dress knife. You can carry it as a everyday carry your jeans or even your basketball shorts. It's just that good. And for me, if I'm somebody looking to look into Shirogorov for the very first time and see what the brand is about, I typically have 2 knives in my head based on size of their hand, and I usually recommend Neon or F95. And now, you know, regardless of your hand size, I'd say, you know what? Take a look at an Astram. Astram full production, M390. And if your hands are small, if they're big, if they're 6 fingers, if they're 4 fingers, it's a home run on all fronts. And it's just such a great size knife to kind of carry around and experience the brand, because to me it's an overgrown neon in the form factor of an F95. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful knife, and I would highly recommend it to anybody interested in the brand. And then beyond that, you know what? It's a usable knife, plain and simple. You know, you've got a nice, easy drop point. You can open letters, cut tape, cut boxes. You know, if you want to do some light carving, you could absolutely beat on an M390 blade, and this thing's going to kick around, take it all, take it in stride, and come back for more. And then the fact that they finally put the apron in the back on the inside of this, which is basically a lock spacer, and then all the little detail work on the inside, the milling and the design work inside is just incredible. And then when you don't think it's all good enough, you close that blade and you look at the centering on the back spacer, to me, and you go, how on earth is this a production knife? And how is this perfectly centered inside that back spacer that has the protruding center line already made into it? And you go, yep, to me, that's the knife of the year 2024. I don't know how you can argue that. You know, one of the knives that I had considered as well just recently came out being the Loxa, and I just figured, based on the fact that it's newer, it's not really a production knife, although they claim to have made 100, which I still don't think they have. To me, it's not readily available enough to be considered the knife of the year, and maybe that's debatable. And if we broke down the categories more, I'm sure we could arrive at some conclusions. Say, you know, say if there's a custom division knife of the year, say there's a special edition knife of the year, say there's a production knife of the year. We could keep slicing this in different layers as we see fit. But this would honestly be, from a sheer Shirogorov enthusiast perspective, the knife of the year, and will continue to be one of the hardest to get knives in existence, it seems, lately. And they've held their value for what now? Have they been out about a month, 2 months? About 2 months now. And really cool knife. But to me, because it's not a dubbed production knife, I just figured, from the spirit of what I talked about earlier, it should be a production knife. And like I said, we can break that down further whenever we want. And that's nothing against the Cook, the Loxa. That is, to me, my favorite knife that I've personally added to my collection in 2024. But it's not a production knife in the spirit of this video. So hopefully that made sense. It's kind of a roundabout way of saying it's not really a production knife, and it's not as attainable, I'd say, either, in terms of price point wise. And you can take an average person off the street who is interested in trying a Shiro and say, okay, an Astram M390, it's usually attainable for most to try out. And I'd also like to end this with a prediction, in that, being right now it is, you know, an M390 full tie knife, it begs the question, do you think that they'll drop the price down? And by doing so, make a different version of it. Kind of like they've done with the F3s, they've done it with the 111s, they've certainly done it with the F95s, they've done it with the Quantums, the Quantiums. So my question is, I'm wondering, do they make a version of this knife with, say, an LMAX blade instead of M390, and maybe less milling, and maybe less features, maybe no backspacer? I don't know. To just get this model, get the ergonomics available to other people, or other markets, other price points. I don't know. They might not. Maybe this is just all it'll be, and maybe they'll just continue pumping this out. Maybe they'll do a bronze, maybe they'll do a blue, like they did with the Stellar. I don't know. in that own right, it'll do just fine, I'm sure. It's a very hot knife. But, as I was saying, that it's a knife that is attainable by most, it's not attainable by all. So you never know if they try to, save $200-300 and try to bring the cost down a little bit by modifying the materials. Wouldn't shock me. So, anyway, I said I'd be 10 minutes. I'm probably 15. And I just literally, I didn't sit down with notes and try to film this to point or anything. This is just me being myself, genuine, just talking about one of my favorite knives in 2024 that I've had the luxury of and fortune of experiencing all the variants along the way in this model year 2024, and basically saying that to me the Astram is my pick of the 2024 knife of the year for BladeZilla. I don't know how it would really be close with any other model, a knife that I carry, and I've got walls of them beside me here that are all hand-selected, beautiful, well-done knives in their own right. But to me, the Astram is the knife of the year. So, what my question is this is, I would love to be challenged on that and say, no, that's not the right answer. What do you feel is the knife of the year? What knife am I missing? What knife should I have featured at Christmas time here as my knife of the year? There's going to be pros and cons of all kinds of different selections, and this is something, like I said, I've thought about for a few weeks now, and a decision that's not been taken lightly. And to me, it makes a lot of sense to be the Astram. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. If I'm close, if I'm close enough, if I'm bang on, if I'm out in left field, let me know that too. Otherwise, check out the Astram M390 video. Just search it on the channel, just search Astram and you'll see all of the videos I talked about. I've got, 5 videos on it now, each probably half hour plus. So you've got multiple hours of content to look at on the Astram and form your own opinion against other models that I've carried, but that's my opinion. And we'll go from there. And me, myself, and I are going to take this Astram out and throw it in the pocket because don't know what I'm going to be going into, but I'm going to go for a walk in the park. And to me, it's the perfect colleague to take along with me, not knowing what I'm going to get up to, because this knife is just gorgeous and can kind of do it all if need be. So there you go. 2024 BladeZilla Knife of the Year, Shirogorov Astrum production, M390 variant. And have yourselves a happy holidays. I know that it's going to be Boxing Day in Canada on the 26th when this video comes out. And then we're going to be coming up on New Year's here in no time, and then we'll be starting to think about the 2025 Knife of the Year. And with your help in the comments, please let me know what we want to do. Maybe next year we'll break it into categories. Maybe we'll slice it into price points, styles, locking configurations. We could go all kinds of different ways with it, but figured this would be a good start to it. All right, guys, have yourself a fantastic 2024, or what's remaining of it, and hopefully you can pick up an Astram and experience this beautiful knife for yourself, and you'll quickly realize exactly why I'm talking like this. All right, have a great week, guys, and happy holidays and happy New Year. Cheers. Peace.